Hello, this is Relaxed Turtle, here to read you a relaxing story about Shohei Ohtani, the amazing story of baseball's two-way Japanese superstar, written by Jay Paradis and foreword by Mark Langston, who you might hear on TV if you watch Angel games. So lay back and enjoy this story with some commentary. Hi, my name is Shohei Ohtani. With those 6 words, the world's most intriguing baseball player introduced himself to the Angels fans on a warm December 9 day in 2017 that will be long remembered in franchise history. With Japanese two-way star choosing the Los Angeles Angels over every other major league club salivating for his services, the Angels had a huge win on a day baseball wasn't thrown or hit. Instead, it was celebration of someone who could do both. And Ohtani handled the initial meet and greet with a mixture of shyness and youthful exuberance. Ohtani, to me, has always seemed like a shy player, so I like that the story brings that to us. Now back to the story. Ohtani's skill set is unique, although some detractors wonder why he doesn't focus on either hitting or pitching. But what makes him great is that he does both at a high level and has the fortitude to test the status quo that reigns in the majors. Somewhere along baseball's evolution over the past century, being a specialist become the norm. If you pitch, you didn't hit, or you didn't do it very well. If you hit, you didn't pitch, or very seldom. So Ohtani comes along and carves up the assumption like his inside-out swing when going to the opposite way for another base hit. So Ohtani comes along and he performs. Always the biggest factor at a standard that makes his far-fetched idea resonate. So what if others told Ohtani he should ditch challenging endeavor and focus on one or the other? Going back with some commentary, I remember a lot of people telling me that they didn't think this was possible, that there was no way he would be able to do this. So even I was a little skeptical at first, but I was excited to see the challenge. Now back to the story. It's not like I really want to be a pitcher and hit, or that I am a batter who also pitches, Ohtani told Kyodo News when preparing for his last season with the Nippon Ham Fighters. That's not it. I want to do both. Since I began playing ball when I was little, I wanted to do both. I started playing baseball not thinking, I really want to be a great player as a pitcher, or I want to be a great player as a hitter. I want to bat well. I want to pitch well. That's the desire I've always had. That jive remains intense despite others throwing shade at his dream of being the first significant two-way player in the majors since Babe Ruth in 1919. Now, going back to some commentary, that's something interesting because I think that should be thrown out every year that no one has really done this since 1919. Insane that in 2018, Ohtani's rookie year, really the first player to attempt it in nearly, at that time, 100 years. Okay, back to the story. When it's said if he focused on pitcher, he'd be an even better pitcher. So why doesn't he do that? All I can say is that I really want to be a better hitter, Ohtani said. Ohtani's greatness isn't restricted to revealing itself when he's wearing a baseball uniform or dazzling, adoring the crowds between the lines with 100-mile-per-hour fastball or a 450-foot home run. Somewhere in his deepest thoughts, Ohtani decided he was going to be different from the others. He had unrelenting beliefs in playing baseball his way. The easier path for him at some point would have been to slice his workload in half, instead of his courage to buck what's considered normal and present a game's view first imagined possible was inspiring to others. Ohtani is popular to the utmost for his incredible knack of being able to play the game in a manner not seen in nearly over a century of baseball. Fans are also drawn to him for what he's attempting at the major league level. They applaud him for striving to climb a baseball mountain that maybe only he can see. What is also appreciated is the way Ohtani pulls all this off. A father might point out Ohtani's impeccable manners, as is required in the Japanese culture. Ohtani bows when approaching others, and that includes his opposing catcher and the umpire when taking his first at-bat in the game. If Ohtani makes an out, he goes out of his way to retrieve his discarded bat. Go into some commentary here. I have to say that's pretty impressive because nowadays you just don't see many major league players, especially in American culture. They usually just throw them off and someone like a ball boy or someone comes up and retrieves it. Going back to the story. If he draws a walk, he removes his protective gear from his ankle, elbow, wrist areas. He arranges them neatly, waiting for the bat boy to arrive. I want to bat well. I want to pitch well. That's the desire I've always had. Quote by Shohei Ohtani. What baseball player doesn't like sunflower seeds? Not many. And Ohtani lands in the camp that can go through a pack with the best of them. But don't look for spent seeds under his cleats. It's not just because he moves around regularly during the game. Instead, Ohtani's tidy, not wanting to put extra burden on the clubhouse attendant to sweep up the mess he left behind. So his discarded seeds go in a cup that he keeps nearby. With Ohtani's path as a two-way player and demands flexibility that are required, some wondered, how would he assimilate in the major league clubhouse? Just fine, thank you. And teammate Tyler Skaggs, oh, rest in peace, proves it when passing Ohtani's locker and noticing him buried in the iPhone. Skaggs flicks the back of Ohtani's head in playful fashion, and the quick smile it brings has them both laughing. Going back, I remember, I think Skaggs last week with us, he did a video that I think was on the Angels Instagram with Shohei Ohtani, and it just seemed like the two were good friends despite maybe a language barrier, so that was always nice to see. Yeah, we miss Tyler Skaggs. Okay, going back to the story. Ohtani has an end locker in the team's west side of the clubhouse, near the future Hall of Famer Albert Pujols. There's a concrete partition between the two, but not much else, as it's easy for Ohtani. See, Ohtani is among his teammates' favorite targets to joke with. The rib Ohtani likes, one does a little brother, recognizing what he's trying to do and the challenges that come with it. If they can keep him loose, which isn't difficult, his teammates believe they are doing their part too in his historic journey. When Mike Trout, who is across and to the right of Ohtani, starts shooting baskets in the clubhouse with the miniature basketball hoop, he baits anyone to compete against him. That usually gets Ohtani warming up his imaginary jump shot, although Justin Upton, who's closer to Trout, usually gets the first go at giving Trout the heavy hoe in the casual shooting tournament. It was Trout who particularly quick to wrap up massive arms around Ohtani. They clicked at spring training camp as Ohtani would ride shotgun in Trout's golf court, and the one in which he jetted around the Angels complex. I believe there's a card of this picture. This is going to some commentary here. I remember seeing this image. I think it was the first image I think I'd seen of Ohtani in an Angels, well, really anything Angels. Both usually sped with wide grins after their friendship was forged when Trout helped recruit Ohtani with a FaceTime phone call while preparing to get married. Ohtani was touched. It was the start of a bond between baseball's best player and its most intriguing one. Instead of being chauffeured about sharing the spotlight with Ohtani, Trout was cheering for his signing. Ohtani would later toast Trout, or was that Torch, feeling comfortable with their budding relationship. Ohtani gave Trout the business at his introductory press conference. When asked why he chose 17, Ohtani showed the timing of a stand-up comedian saying, "I actually wanted 27, but someone else was wearing that number." It was among the biggest laughs in a city that produced thousands of smiles. Disneyland is a mile down Catella Street, but on this day, Ohtani made Angel Stadium the happiest place on earth. Ohtani was set for a season to remember. He would be living in an Angels uniform, a franchise that had given its fans the likes of Gene Autry, Bo Belinsky, Dean Chance, Jim Fregosi, Clyde Wright, Alex Johnson, Nolan Ryan, Rod Carew, Reggie Jackson, Vladimir Guerrero, and Trout was adding another impact person to its hallowed alumni. Those men left their fingerprints on the franchise, as did all the others wearing the Angels uniform with pride. And that goes for the late Jimmy Reese, a former roommate of Babe Ruth in the 1930s. Ohtani is trying to duplicate Ruth, and the optimistic and classy Reese, an Angels coach specialized in hitting, fun goes until his death at the age of 92 would be the loudest to cheer him on. But first roar from the Angels boosters, their off-season suddenly elevated with baseball's biggest signing, and to quiet down at Ohtani's press conference held in front of Angel Stadium. Getting them settled again was all the task of absorbing 6 words the Angels faithful will never forget. "Hi, my name is Shohei Ohtani." I thank you guys for listening, and that is the end of Chapter 1. Let me know your thoughts below, and I hope this was relaxing and a nice, enjoying time listening to Chapter 1 of Shohei Ohtani, the amazing story of baseball's two-way Japanese superstar. Thank you.